We pulled off the road with no real expectations. We just left Helen, Georgia, still humming with accordion music in our heads when we saw the sign, Old Sautee Store, since 1872. It had that look, a slanted roofline, faded wood, one of those buildings that whispers to you, the kind that says, hey, I've been here longer than your car, your clothes, your phone, your whole idea of what a road trip even is. So we stopped, and I'm glad we did, because this wasn't just a country store. It was a time capsule. And the longer we stayed, the more it started to feel like we weren't just walking through a shop, we were walking through someone else's memory. Let's start with the facts. The Old Sautee Store opened in 1872. That's just 7 years after the end of the Civil War. Back then, this was Cherokee territory turned farmland, remote, quiet, and deeply poor. The store wasn't just a place to buy molasses and fabric. It was the center of gravity for the Sautee Valley, a post office, a trading hub, a porch to swap gossip and weather reports, a lifeline. The building itself is original. Hand-hewn beams, stone footings, floorboards worn smooth by 1,000 footsteps, and 50,000 boot hills. And it's still standing right where it's always been, facing the same road, under the same mountain ridge, selling goods to travelers who have no idea how lucky they are to have wandered in. And maybe that's what struck me the most, because in an era when everything is optimized, when stores are built to flip in 5 years or be torn down in 10, this place endures. Not by accident, but because somebody over and over again made a decision to keep it alive. Step inside, and it's like the calendar gave up somewhere around the turn of the last century. The creak of the floorboards, the scent of wood and age in the air, jars of candy lining the counter, like it's still nickel apiece. During autumn and winter months, the warmth comes from a simple open hearth. The air is heavy with nostalgia, and none of it is fake. This isn't a Cracker Barrel cosplay. The stuff on those shelves, most of it was actually sold here or sat on that shelf for the last 100 years, or came back through a family estate, donated by people who remembered coming here as kids. You might see ledger books, tobacco tins, antique jars of pickled eggs that no one dares open, but no one will throw away. It's not just an attraction, it's a shrine, a living, working tribute to a time when commerce wasn't digital. It was personal, local, face-to-face. And maybe that's what keeps people coming back. But the story doesn't stop in the old front room. Step through a narrow doorway and you're in an entirely different experience. The modern Old Sautee Store. It's still rustic, still charming, but this side is alive with today. Locally made jams and jellies, handcrafted soaps, baskets of old-fashioned candy, Georgia wines, embroidered tea towels with passive-aggressive Southern sayings like, bless your heart, or call your mama. There's a cafe on one side with fresh baked goods and coffee. Everything is laid out like it was curated by someone who cares. Someone who said, let's not just sell stuff, let's make this feel like somewhere you want to be. And it works. Because while the front of the store gives you history, the back of the store gives you comfort. Both sides of the experience are built on the same idea, slow down. And that idea, that's what's rare. That's what's valuable. That's what's made us stay longer than we planned. Here's something I noticed while filming B-roll and poking through the shelves. There's no rush, no frantic customers, no ticking clock. No, we price match Amazon signs. And that's by design. The Old Sautee Store doesn't care if you buy a lot, it cares if you look around. It wants you to linger, and when you do, you start to pick up on the rhythms of a town that refused to sprawl. Sautee is still small, still quiet, still centered around stories more than schedules. A kid comes in with their grandparents and sees the same counter their mom stood at. A couple comes in on vacation, buys a bottle of wine and a candle, and says, "We should come back here in the fall." This place isn't selling a product, it's selling a feeling, earned over generations. And in a world where heritage is usually just a marketing word, the Old Sautee Store actually has it. Let me say something that maybe doesn't get said enough on travel shows or in guidebooks. Not everything has to be a destination. Sometimes the best stops, the ones that stay with you, are the ones you did not plan. The ones where you pull off for 5 minutes and leave an hour later with something more than a souvenir. That's what the Old Sautee Store was for us. An unscripted moment of slowness. And here's what I think makes this store so powerful. It doesn't just preserve the past. It reclaims it. It reminds us that before online reviews and mobile checkouts and loyalty apps, there was this: a wooden counter, a front porch, a jar of stick candy, a clerk who knew your name and asked about your harvest. That's what America looked like once. Not everywhere, not perfectly, but enough to matter. And in this little building in Northeast Georgia, you still get a glimpse of it. Still get to touch it, smell it, step into it. This isn't nostalgia. This is memory with architecture. This is history that never left the room. So yes, pull over, even if it looks like just an old store, because what it really is proof. Proof that simple things, when cared for long enough, can become sacred. This has been ChadGallivanter. Thanks for stopping with us at the Old Sautee Store, where time doesn't stand still, but it sure slows down long enough for you to notice. Be good to yourself. See you next town.